Traffic is reporting this morning at National Education Forum launch. President outlines areas for reforms. Now, President John Dramani Mahama yesterday launched the National Consultative Forum on Education and said reforming the sector was not an option but a necessity, outlining 5 critical areas for consideration. And yeah, there's a problem with the consideration spelling somewhere. Of the forum expected to lead to far-reaching reforms in the local education sector. The president said the forum should eventually address how the country would ensure quality education for every child, regardless of location, how it will equip teachers with the tools. So that's the first one. Quality education for every child, regardless of location. 2, how it would equip teachers with the tools they need to succeed. 3, how it will promote innovative teaching and teaching methods and critical thinking. 4, how it would ensure sustainable financing for education. And 5, how it would strengthen the role of faith-based organizations in school management. It is very interesting that he brings the faith-based organizations in there, because you know that the Cali Bishops Conference and the Christian Council had raised concerns ahead of time, and I was happy. I mean, it sounded very noble that the executive president of the republic apologized to them. It's a far cry from what some people were doing, pretending that merely because you got a bishop to come and pray there, that means that the Cali Bishops Conference had been invited. I mean, that was nonsensical at best. You can't pretend that way. And if you do something and you know you've gotten it wrong, it's only decent, like the president did, that you accept an apology that was an oversight and we move on. Do not pretend that you have some justification and there will be a bishop there, the church will be represented, almost as if merely because a bishop is there, the conference is there, or merely bishop because another pastor or some pastors are there, the Christian Council as a group is actually represented. In any case, this grouping, the Cali Bishops Conference, for example, had even talked about free SH way before some of the people who are talking about free SHs got their balls to be able to even talk about it. And you know, so I mean, sometimes you are not sure where some of these needless positioning comes from.
Talking about free SHs, Professor Achampo, when I played that sound earlier, talked about let's not make free SHs. Let's not pretend that free SHs is supporting the poor when it's actually a subsidy for the rich. Well, it's a point we'll talk about later.
No, we'll talk about later.
Subsidizing price of petroleum products.
Yes, I remember.
No, Raymond.
In 2011, I worked. The lines were so familiar when I was hearing.
No, the way you dropped the paper. Let's continue.
Oh, we should continue.
We'll come back. We'll talk about.
Let me mention the other things happening in the Republic of Ghana. The Council of State takes office. Though Ajaho is chairman. But I think the picture that people are actually looking up to is that of former Chief Justice.
Yes.
The former Chief Justice, Sophia Akufo. And I think a journalist had cause to ask her, how did you get here? I came here of my own rights. I'm a former Chief Justice. I'm not even representing the judiciary. But if you know Sophia Akufo, you expect that kind of wonderful answer coming from her. Yes. And, I mean, sometimes you get hope. Even though we have sat here and said that institution there must go, but now I don't know with some of the faces I'm seeing there,
brother. You see,
I don't know whether I am thinking double about it.
The thing about the institution is the fact that the Supreme Court of the Republic has ruled that their advice, as expected of advice, can be taken or not taken.
Yes.
So I do not see an institution. I mean, an institution where people would fight to be there. An institution where we actually, even when we are appointing people, we expect, and watch this critically. Watch this critically. You would see, for instance, that when it comes to the former IGP, it's a former IGP appointed by President Mahama. Former CDS, it's a former CDS appointed by President Mahama. And if you heard, even in the build-up to the elections in the Ashanti region, why the Agric and Zima chief is an MPP man, how do you expect an MPP man to go and advise President Mahama?
Why not? Why should the advice necessarily have?
Exactly, and that's why
if you wanted your, what they call it,
But
your party apparatchiks, they are in your party.
Yeah,
go
and
to the headquarters or National Council of Elders of your party.
Election.
That is why, and we saw what happened. I still believe that, look, if it's only advised not taken, then I do not think that the Council of State is a necessity. And in any case, what's going to happen is that all of a sudden we're going to have all those whose appointments are supposed to be in consultation with the Council of State. Those meetings will be held today. And they will be told that, they are no longer acting. They've been made substantive because the president, in consultation with the Council of State, has actually reviewed the appointments. Really? What was that about?
No, I think maybe when we restructure an institution like that, then if you wanted to play a very meaningful, because the bit where an institution gets to mediate one way or the other, sometimes the sections. So and I think that, for example, if it's just reduced to chiefs, right, prominent Ghanaian chiefs, the sensible ones who can give proper advice, those ones, it works because already they mediate more than some of these institutions of state. So if they are the ones recognized that way, I do not care if that's how we are treating them. And even if you are paying them to do that job, I don't have a difficulty with that. But this thing that we pay some people sitting in some corners merely because they precinct the leader of the country doesn't make sense to me. And again, this thing where we go through war to be able to elect our own to go and pretend they're advising the president is also a bit problematic anyway.
Well, let's do the
last two because this is important.
Very important.
OSP removes former finance minister from wanted list. I'm told that the man says I'll be available within May or something like that. So now OSP says his status has changed. First, we're not sure when he's coming. Now we are sure when he's likely to show up. But if he doesn't show up, he goes back on the wanted list.
My point also is that this is to Ken Ofori-Atta. So if you knew that you were going to have a surgery, and I've seen the letter from his lawyers to the OSP, if you knew you were going to have a surgery and your recuperating period could be 2 to 3 weeks or whatever, and so you are likely to be available within that time, why didn't you state it from the get-go? I mean, because in Ghana, indefinite is made to, and you see, and I keep saying this, there's always what you call the denotation of a word as in its basic core meaning,
connotation,
an associate or connotative meaning, what society places on it. In Ghana, in the past, when we went to secondary schools, if they didn't want to say they've dismissed you, they say you've been suspended indefinitely. And in most of the instances, you never came back.
Yeah, because indefinite.
So many people think of indefinite to mean never. So why didn't he just say, give some timelines to say, okay, May or this day? Because today, this whole conversation about Ken Ofori-Atta wanted, and is a fugitive from justice. If you could give this information, why didn't you? It was unnecessary.
But well noted, but that also doesn't justify the actions of the.
I haven't said so, but I think that he could have
been handled in a more better way. I mean, nobody is about the law, and let's state that fact. But just like what you said this morning, more of much I do about nothing.
Now the other story.
It was actually a question I asked.
Oh, okay. Connotation and connotation.
Or you say it's much ado about nothing. Okay. That was a question I asked. Okay. So you've answered it.
No, you are saying that you asked the question and George now has affirmed that it is much ado about nothing.
It's that, like you said this morning.
Yeah. He wanted to associate you with
it's not a statement.
You are removing yourself from the thing. Anyway, President Mahama declares assets also on the front page. Of course, later on we'll talk about it. And those are the stories on the front page of the Daily Graphic this morning.
In the Ghanaian Times, President opens National Education Forum in Ho, apologizes to the GCBC and also the CGC for delayed invitation. Interior Minister comments pleas for high standard of professionalism, and also President declares assets President actually asset declared, and is telling the others that by March 31 they should do that or they will face sanctions. And also cholera outbreaks, 719 cases confirmed and 49 deaths recorded. Raymond, I'm just asking, what does the law say? Why should the envelope still be sealed until the person leaves office?
Because that's the law.
Where's the best practice, international best practice?
Well, we saw Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah.
He actually counted his cattle and indicated the number.
Yeah.
So
Can
we
it
all
be
knew.
made public that when Raymond was going into
Indeed.
this office, I knew that he has 2 houses at East
Indeed.
Legon. He
and
has
must be
one-
verified.
A
You
one,
see,
you
it's
know.
it's not just making it public, because I can actually preempt what I intend to do,
Or intend to buy.
intend to buy,
Or intend to steal.
steal.
Okay.
So make it public. Let's verify it, and let's make it public that this is what we found.
Okay.
But there are some also of the school of thought that the challenge of letting everybody know that Winston has maybe 2 houses at cantonment, and what could be the implications as well.
Is that a
exposing him to-
prophecy?
No, I'm just asking. So that's a question here, you know.
Oh, no, it
Just
could be
like
a-
how you asked
I see it
about
as a
much,
prophecy.
much I do about nothing.
I see it
so,
as a
The
prophecy.
man has plans of getting house account.
so
He's not prophesying into it and say, I
if
see.
you, if you make it public, could you be exposing that person to some risk, even though, yes, when he decided to go into public office, he knew that these are some of the risk that comes with going into public
I've
office.
said that elsewhere, where all these declarations are made and it's verified and is actually made known to the public, so it's being posted online, so you know what the guy has gotten and what he's getting in the future anyway. No conversations about that. Those places, people weigh whether they deserve public office or not. In our part of the world, it's become very convenient, very acceptable for people to find that as the alternative. See, people who are desirous of protecting their property, protecting themselves from all of this scrutiny, they don't go into public service. So to me, I support it 100%, and it's a way to curtail a huge number from venturing into what is supposed to be service to the People's Republic.
You know, Benny
I hope
Sanders.
you get my point.
Raymond.
So if you think you're uncomfortable, we're showing us that you have some very nice place at Ada, or you have some
front.
yes, you have some nice building somewhere, anywhere in cantonments or close to whichever end. It's simple. Don't just veer into it. In your private life, George can amass, that's if that's the right word, or create wealth, and it will regenerate into a lot of money. We will not be asking the questions directly as we ask for public officers. I hope you get my point.
Yes, I get you.
So please, we should make it very inconveniencing for people to see public service as a means to enrich themselves.
When
You
Benny
get that?
Sanders bought a house for $500,000, the U.S.
Oh,
populace-
comrade socialist.
Yes, they questioned.
Oh yeah, but socialism is not
They
against
questioned him.
what they
no,
call
no,
it.
no, they questioned him and where he bought it.
Yeah,
They
uh-huh.
questioned him and said, are you the man who's been preaching this thing? But that's because there's transparency.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. If you buy it, let us know that you got it.